Screen here. Share my screen here. That way we could get the ball rolling. I'm happy everyone's on. If you like, you guys could turn on your camera so we could see your guys' faces and we could all participate. So this is something that we could all participate. Ask questions. Please ask as many questions as you can in the chat, or you could unmute yourself as well and ask questions. So today, Thursday, 6:30 p.m., July 29th, 2021. Thank you, Christian. Good to see you. So here we go. We're in how to play Monopoly in real life. That's the topic today, and I'm going to give you step-by-step instructions on exactly how you could play Monopoly. And you know, growing up, I think everyone's played Monopoly, but no one really realizes that the Monopoly game board is just like real life. It's kind of like, you know, you land on certain spots, and then you're able to, you know, choose whether you want to buy it. And then whenever somebody else lands on that spot, they have to pay you rent, right? And then you start off with one home, and then, you know, maybe on some of the lower priced ones, you buy those up, and then, you know, you start collecting rent. Then you have enough money when you land on Park Place or something like that, then you start buying those bigger houses. And then after 3 houses or 4 houses that you own on one location, then you could turn it into a hotel, right? So that's kind of the premise of Monopoly. It's just getting bigger. And then if you own a hotel and someone lands, guess what? The rent isn't $30 anymore. It's like a few $100. So again, that's kind of how Monopoly works. And in real life, I mean, in real life, it works the same exact way. So there's a couple people in the waiting room row if you want to take care of those. And I'm going to share my screen. So quick intro. This is a little bit about myself. That way you guys know who is talking. So my name is Lepe. I've been in real estate 19 years. I currently have 24 tenants paying me rent on a monthly basis throughout San Diego County. You know, you get a lot of investors that have tenants in different parts of the U.S. You know, some people invest in Texas or in Florida. I invest in San Diego. So all my properties are in San Diego County. I'm a real estate broker, commercial and residential property manager. I manage an office with about 20 agents in the office. And, you know, we give back over $90,000 to the community. The biggest deal I've ever done is over $11 million. Smallest deal is 50,000 square foot lot, or $50,000 lot. I've helped hundreds of families with their real estate stuff. At the age of 32, I actually found out I was a millionaire just by filling out an application. I was like, oh, wow, I didn't know. And then I have enough net worth and cash flow to retire. Okay, so that's kind of my background. I just wanted to share that with you guys. That way you guys know that, hey, I'm not just teaching something that I read or something that somebody else told me or whatever. This is, I do this, right? And so anyways, that's that. So I'm gonna teach you 2 different methods today to really make money in real estate as far as being a real estate investor. So I just thought about this kind of yesterday because I was like, you know what? I did it one way, and there's some people in the waiting room. I did it one way, but there's other people do it other ways. So there's 2 different ways to do it. Okay, so the first way I'm gonna write right here is the primary. Raul, if you could let the people in, please.
I did. They're joining.
Okay, I just see it on my screen. Maybe it froze. Okay, so the first one is primary residence. Okay, that's one way that you can accumulate multiple properties, you know, over a course of 10, 20, 30 years. Okay, the primary residence way. And then the second one is the way that I accumulate mines, the Burr method. Okay, and we'll go over both of them. So now you as an investor, you could actually pick up a lot of properties both ways. And what I failed to realize as a real estate investor, I was doing this method, the BRRRR method. I didn't even think of doing it the primary residence way. If I had to do it all over again, if I had to go back, over 10 years ago when I first started to buy properties, what I would have done is I would have done the primary residence way, and then I would have done the BRRRR method way. Okay, so anyhow, hindsight's 2020. So I just recently started to kind of do the primary residence way. So let's go over the primary residence way first. Okay. Well, actually, let me put a couple things out there. This is a text message from an estate attorney. He deals with a lot of estates. He's seen people with a lot of money. And I texted him and I said, hey, what's the thing you told me that only 2 ways to become wealthy is owning a business or real estate? And he says, correct. Unless you get lucky enough to win the lottery, marry rich, or inherit it, right? So in America, that's how most people became wealthy. You either have a really good, successful business or real estate. That's like how most old money people and current people are making money. Obviously, there's the stock market too. There's some people that invest in the stock market, and but that's usually a lot of times because they have extra income to invest into the stock market. So they either have a successful business and they get that money and they put it into the stock market and it grows, or they may use cash flow from their real estate to invest into the stock market. So anyhow, the thing about being able to retire is you can't retire off your day job. This is why we all want to become real estate investors. You want to make money in your sleep. And really, the best way to make money in your sleep is by having investment property and having tenants just pay you money, okay? So even if you're a real estate agent out there and you're selling 50 properties a year, making good income for yourself, you're still going to be in the rat race if you don't have assets paying you money, okay? If you're a plumber making 100 grand a year, doesn't matter. You're still going to be in the rat race because the more money you make, most people, the more money they spend, right? So this is a big fallacy that I've been taught, and which was just work harder. Oh, you want to double your money, you want more money, you want to be rich, just work harder, sell more properties. If you're a plumber, do more bathroom kitchens, high-end kitchens. That's just a fallacy. It's not true, guys. The key is whatever income you make is you just have to reinvest it into an asset. That's how you grow wealth. That's exactly how you do it. All right, so must-haves. So to be a successful real estate investor, there's a few things that I've noticed about other investors, such as myself. You got to live below your means. You have to, for example, the plumber friend, and I'm going to give you an example. Plumber friend makes a plumber income. He has 3 kids, wife, and he ended up with 4 homes. He shops at Ross, not at Nordstrom's, right? He has like a used pickup. He doesn't have a new car. So he lives below his means. The way that he bought is he had qualifying income. He had 2 years of paying taxes, and that's how he got his loans. So again, live below your means is a must-have. Qualifying income, you need income, okay? You need to pay taxes. If you have a business, you got to pay taxes. You could qualify for loans. You got to have patience. It takes time for values to go up. And then there's discipline, discipline in spending. My friend who's a plumber, he's not a big spender. He's disciplined. He has a budget. He stays within that budget. Okay. There's a bunch of different terms when you go into investing. We're not going to go over them right now, but just know that there is. And then one more thing that I'll share with you is this, okay? San Diego rent, this was last year, San Diego rent hits all-time high of $1,960 average rent. Okay. $1,960 in San Diego. So that was last year. Rents have gone up. So I would say it's about $2,000 a month per unit on average. And that's like they're averaging all the 1-bedroom apartments and they're averaging all the 3-bedroom houses. And it's coming out to $2,000 basically in San Diego County. So what's going to happen? I remember, when I started investing, a 2-bedroom house was running for $1,000 to $1,200. Now that same 2-bedroom house, I'm getting $2,650 for $2,675 or something like that. Think about it. When I first started, when I bought that house, the rents were $1,200 in that neighborhood. Right now, $2,675, $2,650, something like that. So what's consistent? Well, increases in rents. I don't see them coming down, right? We're in a housing shortage and we've been in a housing shortage. Inflation is going to push rents up. Everything costs more. So if you're a landlord, super beneficial, right? I'll give you one last stat. I saw an article yesterday that said that home prices went up last year in San Diego, from last year to this year, 25%. 25% that's a crazy number. So let's say you're a real estate owner, landlord, okay? I'll take my plumber friend. His house is, let me see, 525, one's worth. The other house is worth 575. The one that we just sold, I'll go more into details, 715. And then the fourth one is worth about 675. Okay. He owns $2.49 million of real estate. Okay. So let's just pretend 25 is a big number, 25%, right? But let's just pretend that real estate, because I've seen articles as low as 12%, as high as 25. So let's say real estate went up, be conservative, let's say it went up 15% over the last 12 months. $373,000, that signifies how much equity he earned. How much his net worth went up. Did he do anything? Did he go out there and work for $373,000? No. He just owned real estate and let inflation and appreciation take hold. You divide that by, what was the number? 373, 500 divided by 12. So he was earning $31,000 a month in appreciation over the last 12 months, just by holding real estate. Right? Who else could say that they're making $31,000 a month from doing nothing at all? So he's earning on appreciation, he's earning on rents collected, and anyone who's on this call who owns real estate, your net worth went up over the last 12 months significantly, right? So if somebody who has a $10 million real estate portfolio, which really isn't hard to get in San Diego, and values went up 15%, you just made $1.5 million in a year without lifting a finger. That's $125,000 a month, right? So my buddy, plumber, he's on his way there. Okay, so those were the reasons and what it takes to become a real estate investor, right? It doesn't take a lot. So now let's go over into the first method, right? Because I promised to show you 2 different methods to increase your real estate. Here we go. First one is primary residence. That's what we're gonna go into right now. So this is my plumber friend. His story is, he had a girlfriend, got married, had a baby. They needed a house, right? So he bought his first house, 2013. He wasn't thinking, I want to become a real estate investor. He wasn't thinking, oh, this is a good investment. He just thought, I need a roof over my head, and I don't want a landlord telling me what I can and can't do, and I don't want my rent to keep going up, because as a renter, that's what happens, right? So he bought this home, January 2013, for $223,000, 2-bedroom, 1-bath home in the hood in Logan. And he used FHA financing. So how much did he start his real estate investing career with? $7,800, $7,805. His monthly payment was $1,250. So that's how he started his, okay? Right now on this home, just so you have an idea, he has $270,000 in equity on this home. And he's positive $950 in rent because his payment is $1,300 and the rent is $2,250. So he's up almost $1,000 every month, okay? So what happened? Well, he lived in this home for 4 years and his family grew. So then he says, okay, let me buy my next house. So the next house he bought in 2017 for $435,000. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. He used the same program, FHA, 3.5% down, $15,000 down payment. Okay, so what I'm showing you guys is the primary residence come up. So what does that mean? That means that as an owner, when you buy a home and you live in it, it's called primary residence. You could buy a primary residence every 2 years. Does that make sense? So this is huge. Every 2 years, you're lucky enough to be able to buy a property with 3% to 5% down payment. Let that sink in. Nowhere, no real estate investor gets that deal. All real estate investors have to come in with at least 20% down, 25% down. So think about it, guys. If the government, because the government is backing these loans, if they're saying, hey, Gio, you could buy a primary residence every 2 years with only 3% down. Is that a good deal? That's a great deal, right? You could control a $500,000 property with only 3% down payment. So anyhow, this is what my friend did. Again, out of necessity. He wasn't thinking, I want to be a real estate investor. He just said, hey, we need a bigger house. We need a 2nd bathroom. We need a 3rd bedroom. So he went and he says, well, how am I going to buy this house? I don't have any money. Well, what he did was the day before he bought this house, he tapped into the equity on his first house on this property. So he refinanced in July 2017. He took out a new loan, higher loan. But the messed up part, the funny part, well, messed up if you're a renter, his payment went down. His payment was like $1,599 and then it went down to like $1,300 because rates were better. So he took some of that money and he put it down over here. He took $15,000 from the refinance over here on his first home. And then now he controls 2 homes. The first home he moved out of and you start renting it out, right? And he's a plumber, he's handy. So he fixes all his own stuff. He manages his own property. And he moved into the second home. His monthly payment almost doubled. It went to $2,400 because it's a bigger home, right? He took out a new loan. Now he has $155,000 in equity on this one. But anyways, that's what happened. He bought a second property. Any questions before I move on to his third property? Any questions, anybody? Feel free to stop me. Raul, you can check even Facebook too, see if there's any questions over there.
Hey, Voltaire, this is Guillermo.
Guillermo, what up?
Hey, what's up, brother? So a question for you. In a scenario, I know you were touching on FHAs, but is that a possibility if you go conventional?
Yes, sir. So conventional, you could put down 3% or 5% down every 2 years. Now, the thing, if you're like, hey, I just want as many properties over the next 20 years, you can literally have 10 properties over a 20-year span every 2 years, but you have to move. You have to move from one home to another home to another home. You know what I'm saying? So it might be more of a reality if you do it every 4 years, you know, so 20 years divided by 4 years, that's 5 homes. So you can pick up 5 homes with little money down, or in this case, like I just showed you, Guillermo, with 0 money down. because you refinance the first one, you pull some money out in order to use that money to buy the second one.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So yeah, that's crazy to even think you could do that, right? Just buy homes with the equity in your first home. That's zero money out of pocket. All right, Christian, you had a question?
Yes, just a quick question. How's it going?
Hi, doing good. Thank you.
Hey, man. A question is, so then that means you would have to convert every time you do a refinance, you would have to convert the property as a conventional loan. That way you can utilize your FHA on the continuous one and keep doing that, right?
Yeah, you would have to, basically, unless you could afford it. So basically, I use the word FHA, right? And somebody else is asking right now about VA, but the real term is primary residence loan. Because regardless of whether it's FHA, VA, conventional, if it's your primary residence, that's when you get the really good interest rate, the low interest rate, and then and you get the benefit of a low down payment. So primary residence, yes. So you would have to basically convert out of the first home primary resident into the next one. So you would say, hey, this one's gonna be my investment property. I want an investment loan on this one. And then you would just, then at that point buy the next home as your primary residence financing, which is great financing. And there's a question from Juan. For VA buyers, how long do they have to wait to move out after they buy one home? 2 years, right? 2 years. And obviously if you're VA and you get stationed somewhere else, you can move right away and rent it out right away. But in order to do kind of this method where every 2 years you're buying a new primary, you could do that absolutely, Juan, with a VA, FHA, it doesn't matter, conventional. It's primary residence financing. It's a gift. All right. Any more questions, just stop me, okay? So what happened? He lived there for 2 years. 2 years went by and he was like, man, I really want to live in a better neighborhood. I want to live in a better neighborhood. My kids are getting older. I want them just to, just live in a better neighborhood. That's what happens in life, right? You get older, you have more money, and you start to say, hey, I deserve this. I want a better neighborhood. Okay, cool. So then he bought a house, his third house in Lemon Grove. He bought his third house in Lemon Grove. 2 years later, he paid $537,000 and he put down $27,000 down. Okay, where did he get the $27,000? He still had money left over from the first refinance. You get that? So now he bought 2 more homes with his first home. He's not putting money out of pocket. He doesn't have money like that. So now he moved into his third home, made his second home an investment property. And it's a bigger home, 4-bedroom, 3-bath. He put 5% down conventional on this one. And now he has 3 homes. Got it? Y'all with me? Perfect. All right. Then he calls me up and he says, hey, my wife wants a brand new home. We lived in 3 homes already. All 3 of them had previous owners, but she wants like one of these brand new homes, spanking brand new homes with new everything. So it's like, cool. So he liked the Lemon Grove area. So we stayed in Lemon Grove. He bought a new home this year, right, for $629,000. And he put down $31,000 down payment. By the way, $31,000, $20,000, $7,800. Just so you guys know in real estate terms, in case you're not familiar, that's nothing. That's like a really good deal, because I have clients that buy with these type of loans, and then I have clients that buy with 20% down loans, and the 20% down loans, they're putting down $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 down. Okay, so buying a home with 30 grand, 20 grand, that's a gift. Okay, I just want to remind everybody. So what happened? Now he owns 4 homes, and they're happy. They moved into their 4th home. And guess what? He was asking about this. house number 3. What should I do with house number 3? You know, like, I don't know if I want 4 homes. I don't know if I want 3 rentals. And he said, you know what? Let's sell house number 3. Now, the beauty about selling house number 3, guys, is there's several things, but one is the tax situation. He could sell house number 3 and not pay any taxes on that income because he lived there for 2 out of the previous 5 years because it's his primary. So there's a tax law that gifts anyone who sells their primary residence tax-free money. And if you're married, you get $500,000. And if you're single, you get $250,000 tax-free money. So what we do, we put his home on the market. So he bought his 4th home. He moved into his 4th home. And now house number 3 is vacant. And he says, you know what? I don't want to go through the whole situation of finding tenants and doing all that. He says, just cash me out. So cashed him out. He made $162,000. And how much? He made $162 profit. That's the check that he got in his pocket. And I want to say, oh, well, how much was his investment to get $162,000? Well, $27,000, but not really, because he got this money from the first home. So really his first investment of $7,800, $7,805 down payment, turned so far into $162,000 cash. Plus the equity here and the equity in his first home still, he has more equity, $270,000, plus the equity in this home in Lemon Grove.
Hey, Voltaire,
Yes.
162. How much did he pay in taxes on that?
$0 in taxes.
And why is that?
Because it's his primary residence. And if you live in your house as your primary residence, you could sell and you could keep it tax-free, okay? The government lets you keep it tax-free up to $250,000 profit if you're single or $500,000 if you're married. Somebody says, aren't you supposed to spend it before a certain amount of time? No, you could keep that money forever. This is amazing and crazy. It is, I agree, Samantha. Okay, so now let's look at his situation, okay? Number 1, let's look at his equity situation. He has $617,000 in equity between the 3 homes he currently owns and the $162,000 that he just pocketed. $617,000 in equity from an initial $7,800 investment up here. Who else could turn $7,805 into $617,000? Who? I mean, where? You know, maybe if you bought Bitcoin, if you bought, you know, Bitcoin when it was like $800 or something, and you bought a few of those, and then, you know, now next thing you know, you're sitting on 600,000, right? But guess what? He got to live in these properties. He got to use these properties. He got to enjoy these properties. And all those years, I mean, I'm not even counting the tax benefits he had from owning these properties, the interest deductions, you know, so, all right. So now what I did, and this might be a little bit old, so it might be even more money now, but what I did was I kind of calculated how much he would have in income into the future, okay? So basically I said, hey, look at the 3 homes that you have in the future, and I went up to the year 2044, and I tried to calculate inflation, I think 2 or 3% inflation per year or something like that. But in the future, he's gonna have $144,000 in yearly income. Sorry, here we go. I gotta fix that number. 192,000 gross, 16,000 monthly gross. And then we subtract 35% for taxes, insurance, and maintenance for those properties. And he's left with, let me see, 192,204 minus 35% for expenses 124,932. So this is the number I need to fix here. 24,932. So that means he's making, divided by 12, he's making $10,411 a month. Okay, and then I try to calculate the value of the properties in the future, but that's hard because, you know, real estate has runs and it has dips, but either way, it's gonna be somewhere around $3 million. So when I showed him this like 2 years ago, he was like, his eyes were just wide open. He's like, "You're telling me I'm gonna be a millionaire?" And I go, "Yeah, you're gonna be a millionaire, right?" And if you look at his equity now, I mean, he's almost there. He's got 617,000 from being a plumber, right? Now, he had no clue what he was doing. This was by accident. So what I'm what I'm talking to him right now is like, hey, that $162,000 that you just made on the sale of that property, let's use it. Let's put it as a down payment on an investment property now. So now I'm trying to teach him how to acquire property by doing what I did, the BRRRR method. That's what I'm gonna go into right now. Okay, and he has 162,000 to use and do that. And I'm trying to help him do that with his other properties, because right now he's in a position, just so you guys know, he's in a position where he's kind of scared because he's got something good. He's got a few properties, you know, the tenants are paying rent, he has equity. So he's like, man, okay. Now he's conscious about it because I told him, you know, and I explained to him what he's done. So now he's like, I don't want to make any bad moves. Okay. It's like you grow up broke. That's the last thing you want to do is lose that money and make a bad move. Right. So now it's monopoly. I mean, now he knows it's monopoly. So now he knows he has moves. It's like, okay, which moves should I make? So now I'm trying to teach him, hey, with the properties you currently have and the money you have, let's now use the BRRRR method to get you more properties. Okay. And bigger and more rent. So I'm gonna show you guys what I mean by that in a bit. But any questions on this? Any questions on this primary residence come up? And by the way, I start off this conversation by saying that I didn't use this. Okay, I didn't use this, and I feel like someone should just slap me in the head for not even thinking of this, because I've been in real estate 19 years. And again, if I could go back in time, I would go back and use this simultaneously with what the BRRRR method that I use, because this whole time I've been renting. Okay, why have I been renting? Well, because my rents have always been more than the rents I collect as a landlord have always been more than what I pay as a renter, right? Because I had a sweetheart deal. But me thinking I'm saving money, I'm not. I'm losing money because I'm throwing away rent when I could have owned several properties just like him and lived in them. And yeah, my mortgage would have been more and all that, but I would have earned equity, just like I showed you. He was earning $30,000 a month. So I lost out on a lot of properties by not doing this.
And it sounds like you did it the hard way, huh?
I did it the hard way. I needed 25% down. I needed to find deals. I needed to do like all this extra stuff. You're right. I never even thought about it like that, but I did it the hard way. You know, I had to save up bigger down payments. You know, I had to try to find deals. I had to go into remodel and fix up and do all these things that he didn't have to do and didn't have the pressure to do because he only invested $7,000 into this thing. Cool?
I think Guillermo's hand is up. I'm not sure if he has a question for us.
Yeah, Guillermo, what's up?
Yeah, bro. Just question. So on the third property that he made the profit, which was tax free, was that because it was part of like a 1031 exchange?
Great question. Thank you for asking that, because a lot of people do get that confused. And the answer, Guillermo, is no, it wasn't a 1031 exchange. Remember, the key term is primary residence. That's what I'm teaching you guys. He lived in each and every one of them. So if you live in your primary residence, like yours, Guillermo, you live in it, right? 2 years go by, you sell it and you could cash out tax-free money because it's your primary residence. Even if you went and told your accountant, Guillermo, Mr. Accountant, I want to do a 1031 exchange to avoid paying taxes. He'll tell you that you wouldn't qualify, that you don't qualify because you can only do a 1031 exchange on investment property. Right?
Thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. So
that's good to know.
yeah, for sure. You can't do a 1031 on primary residence. You can only do it on investment property. So all I've shown you so far is just primary residence. Cool. Thank you for asking that because a lot of people do confuse that.
And real quick, Walter, since we're on the subject, do you want to just give us a quick little breakdown of what a 1031 is?
Great. Thank you. Yeah. So a 1031 it's called a tax deferred exchange, meaning if you're an investor and you own an apartment building and you're going to sell this apartment building, if you cash out, you're going to have to pay taxes on the profit. Okay. So you pay 20% to the federal government. Then you pay, 10% to California. So 20% plus 10%, that's 30% on the profit. So these are ballpark numbers. Okay. I'm not a tax advisor, accountant, or nothing like that. But if you sell this apartment building and you make $1 million in profit, you're going to pay ballpark 30%. That's $300,000 you're going to pay in taxes. So that's why a lot of people don't sell their apartment buildings and cash out the money. What they do is they use the 1031 rule, which says if you sell your apartment building, you make $1 million, that $1 million then gets, you have to, in order to avoid paying taxes, you buy another like-kind property, an apartment building, an office building, or whatever, commercial shopping center. And then you buy that second property, and then the government doesn't tax you on the money that you made from the first property. Okay, you're deferring your taxes into the future, meaning you don't owe $300,000 now. You just owe it whenever you cash out that money in the future, whenever that is. So the beauty about 1031s is you could continue to do that. You could exchange from a condo to a house to 2 units to 4 units to 8 units to 16 units, and you never pay taxes until you say, you know what, I want the liquid cash. Let me sell this apartment building. Let me take my $1 million, and here, IRS, and here, California, here's your $300,000. So that's what a 1031 is. It's a rule that a lot of investors use in order to, in order to avoid paying taxes and continue to build wealth. That's what they use it for, really. All right, great question. All right, so now we're gonna go into the second, and then, yes, I could, if you guys, by the way, if you guys have a need to buy or to sell or, investment properties or whatever, reach out to your favorite Lepe Tendwell real estate agent, and, we could help you with whatever you guys need, for sure. All right, so now you guys are looking here at the second method, which is the BRRRR. Okay, so does anyone know what that stands for? Anyone?
Buy, rent, refi. No, buy, rehab, rent, refi, and repeat.
There we go. Cool. Yeah. That's exactly what it means. Thanks for letting us know. So here we go. Okay, you guys can see this, right? Buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. So this is what I did. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to go through the first few properties that I did to make my first $1 million in equity. And then that way you guys kind of got an idea, and Raul hit it right on the head. I did it the hard way. I wasn't thinking. Again, I could have done this, the BRRRR method, and at the same time, simultaneously, I could have been living in my primary residences, right? So All right. So first and foremost, you buy an investment home. You put anywhere between 20 to 25% down. So like in my buddy's example, the plumber who cashed out $162,000, he could use that $162,000 and put it as a down payment on a property. Okay. It should be beat up. If you're looking at it for investment, try not to buy something that's already fixed up. All right. So that's when you buy. All right. The next thing is you want to rehab. So you buy a property, and in this example, I gave this example. This is probably like an old example on a condo or something. You buy for $400,000. You put down $80,000 down as your down payment, and then you get a loan for $320,000. That's how financing works, 20% down, right? Rehab. You fix up good enough to rent out. So you don't want to fix it like all the way good. You want to fix it where it's habitable. People are gonna want to live there. They're excited to live there. They like living there. But it doesn't have to be like, like you're gonna live there. Okay, because what you'll realize is over time, tenants they do use the property, and it shows. Okay, so in this example, you buy it for 400, and then you have maybe 20,000 in fix-up costs. Which, by the way, I wrote this last year, I think, or maybe the year before. So now that same 20,000 in rehab costs might be like 30,000 in rehab costs because inflation and prices went up and everything. Okay. All right, so then you fix it up for 30 grand. Then after it's fixed up, then you rent it out. You put a for sale sign, you hire a property manager, and then you get a solid tenant paying market rent in that area. So in this example that I gave you, you bought a $400,000 home, put $80,000 down. Your payment would be about $1,975, and that might be even different now because rates went low. I forgot when I did this, but I think it might be about the same still. Your payment is $1,975, and then your rent for something in that area is going to be $1,980. So this is kind of like a little example. So total invested so far $420,000, and usually the market value is up after that. Because you fixed it up, you made it look nice, and then your loan balance still $320,000. So let's say 5 years pass and you earn 3% yearly appreciation. The value of the home is now $550 after 5 years. That's like compound interest. That's the way it works. And the loan balance is about $287 because you paid it down $33,000 over 5 years. Okay. So I'm giving you an example. If you buy a $400,000 townhome, condo, you put 30,000 into it now, right? 30,000. Let me change this number. And then you wait 5 years, appreciation goes up, your loan balance goes down. Now you're starting to have some equity in the home. You get that? Now you're starting to build equity by paying down the loan, and appreciation does the rest. By the way, I wrote this a year or 2 years ago. Whenever I wrote this, look at how conservative I was. 3% appreciation, right? I just read an article yesterday that said 25% appreciation in San Diego. Then another one that says 12, another one that says like 16%. So if you have those type of numbers where it's like double-digit appreciation, you could do more and more of these BRRRR methods instead of waiting several years. But in this example, I said, hey, wait 5 years. Buy your first property, wait 5 years, let time do the rest, and then you go to refinance. Okay, so most banks will lend you 75% of whatever the value of the home is. So in this case, in this example, this condo is now worth $550. 75% of that is $412. Your loan balance is $287. So now you have total equity of $263 in this property. You could sell it, or you could try. So this is where monopoly comes in. You have choices. You can either sell it and cash out and take the $263,000 that you have in equity, or you can say, I'm going to do the BRRRR method. And then what do you do? You cash out, refinance, right? And you get a new loan for $412. You pay off your old loan of $287. And now you have about $130,000 in your pocket. to use on the next deal. Okay. Then you take that 130, and then you just invest it, and then you keep reinvesting. Okay. So let me show you my deals. All right. So I bought a home, 2013. I bought it for 200,000. I put 30,000 into it. Now I'm all in for 230. Okay. The down payment was $50,000. The loan amount was 150. So the total investment at this point, I'm 50,000 for my down payment, 30,000 for fix-up costs. I'm right around $80,000 my total investment. And by the way, I saved up that money. I saved up that 80,000. I said, okay, I got 80,000. What should I do with it? And that's when I bought this home, okay, in 2013. By the way, I have it red right here because I don't own it anymore. Okay, orange I still own. All right, so I had this property. The value was about 280 at the time. After I fixed it up and everything, held it for 2 years. Now the value 2 years later is about $330,000. So at that point, again, I'm playing Monopoly. So I'm looking at the values and I'm like, okay, it's 330 now. Should I sell? What should I do? No, I refinance. I refinanced at 70% value. So the property is worth 330, 70% was 231. So I paid off my loan of about 150. So I pulled out my original $81,000 down. So I still kept the first house number one, I kept it. And I just pulled out my money. I pulled out my $81,000 that I had invested into this property. And then I find my second deal. I bought this house for 235. I put 40,000 into it, needed more work. So now I'm all in 275. So the down payment for this house was 20%, which was $46,000. And the loan amount was 184. Total investment, about $86,000. So I used the 81,000 from that I pulled from the first house, plus I put an extra 5,000 out of my own pocket. So I'm in this deal for 86,000. Then the value at that point goes up because now it's not like it was in a fire. It was pretty beat up. So now that value, okay, it's worth 330. Okay. Now this is the equity I have in it today. I still own this home. I have 387,000 in equity. That's just what real estate did over that time. Okay. Now I held it for another 2 years. Right. So what did I do? House number 2, I did the same thing that I did with house number 1. Okay. So house number 2, 2 years later, I evaluated everything and I said, okay, it's worth 370 now. 2 years later, it's worth 370. I'm going to do a cash out refinance. Again, I pulled out cash. I paid off the old loan of 180. I got a new loan of 277 and I got $90,000 in my pocket cash. So now I have my original 80,000 plus another 10,000. So I have $90,000 cash. And then I went and bought, it might have been a year later. I went and bought house number 3. House number 3, I bought it. I had to drive up to LA to meet the dude. Sold it to me, $239. I put $30,000 out of pocket. My down payment on this deal, $47,000 plus $30,000 for fix up. So I'm all into this deal about $77,000 out of pocket. Okay, so I used the money I pulled out from house number 2, $90,000. I used it to buy house number 3, which again is red, so that means I just sold it, right? I don't own it anymore. Okay, so then what do? I own, at this point in time, I own these 3 houses. House 1, house 2, house 3. So then I go and I sell house 1, right? Because again, I'm looking at my board game, Monopoly board game. I'm like, what moves do I have? Okay, let me sell house 1. I have equity in there. So I sold house 1 to buy house number 4. And I sold 1 house and I bought a 4-plex. So this is to Raul's question, to Guillermo's question, this is where I did a 1031 exchange. I took the profits from house 1 and I 1031 exchanged it into a fourplex, meaning I'm not touching the cash from house number 1 sale. I'm just trading it. So I'm trading a house for 4 units for a fourplex. This one I bought it for 630, the fourplex. I put 125,000 out of pocket to fix it up because it needed a lot of work. So I'm all in 755. And this is the beauty about it. After I fixed it up, right, and I'm in 755 for it, the house was, I mean, the fourplex was vacant. It was ugly. It was trashed. But now it's fixed up. So now I get tenants in there. I call the bank and I tell the bank, hey, I got this property. And I spent all my money, right? I didn't have any more cash. So I said, I want my cash back. So the bank said, okay, cool. So they gave me a loan, cash out refinance loan. And they gave me a loan of about 715,000 or something like that. So they gave me all my money back minus 30,000. So they gave me, my down payment plus 125 back. So now I have 30,000 into this deal and I get my money back. All right. Everyone with me so far? So that's by selling house number 1. So then I looked at my deals and I look at house number 3 and I'm looking at house number 3 and I'm like, man, house number 3 has some equity, right? And this was this year, 2021. So I look at house number 3 and I'm like, how much equity do I have? Well, I have about 300,000 in equity. Cool. So what I do, I now look at house number 3. I sell house number 3 in order to buy property number 5. Property number 5 was a fourplex with low rents. I bought it for 1.1 million. So now as time goes by, you're noticing that prices start to increase because the first house I bought was for 200,000, and now the last property that I bought with this chain is 1.1 million, right? So I use all the money from house number 3 sale, nothing out of my pocket, and I take out a loan for 825 for the difference. So I'm all in about 285, $0 out of pocket. And because this one the rents were so low that it's going to take me about 4.5 years to get the rents to where I want them, but I'm going to have 700,000 in equity on this deal. 4.5 years from now. Okay. So as of today, these are the properties that I still own in this particular chain, okay, of properties. So I still own house number 2 that has about 387,000 in equity. House number 5, which has about 700,000 in equity, and then house number 1, which turned into house number 4. So house number 4 has about 571,000 in equity. So just from my original $80,000, I have these 3 properties, and the total equity in these 3 deals is $1.658 million. So Christian's asking, what's my next move? Perfect. Well, Christian, I have other properties, right? So when I went into my introduction, I have 24 tenants right now paying me rent. So these properties that I'm showing you, this just 5, 4, 9. This is just 10 out of those 24. Units. So what I did, Christian, at the same time that I was doing this, I had saved up some more money, and then I started a new chain of properties, right? And then with that new chain of properties, the same thing, the Burr method. I bought a house, and then I fixed it up, and then I rented it, and then I refinanced, cash out, refinance, pulled out money, and then I bought another one. I repeated, right? So now there's probably 2 or 3 chains of properties. And on one of those chains, it's not on this one, I can't show you the example, but on one of those chains, I'm gonna sell 1, maybe 2 of the single family houses. Both of them are single family homes. And I'm gonna buy an 8-unit property. Okay, so I'm gonna trade 2 single family homes that I have some equity in for an 8-unit property, which right now I'm waiting to hear back from the seller to see if he's gonna sell it to me. And if he says, yeah, those 2 homes go on the market right away. And then with that cash from those 2 homes, I'm gonna do a 1031 exchange into the 8-unit property. Okay, so then I'll be at, I'll lose 2. So I'll go from 24 to 22, then I'll gain 8. So I'll be at 30 units. So that's kind of the next move that I'm looking at. So it doesn't involve this chain right here. This chain, now that you're asking me, let me look at it, see if I can do anything. I'll tell you what I should do. I'm not going to do it, but this property right here, house number 2, I have a lot of equity in it. Okay, so I should sell this house and trade up for a 4-plex or a 5-plex or a 6-plex. But I'm emotionally attached to this home. I like it. I like the location. I had some good memories fixing it up. Right? So I don't want to sell this home. But what I am going to do, Christian, is the zoning for that home allows me to build another house in the back. And then the zoning in San Diego and California allows me to build 1 ADU and 1 junior ADU for each one, for the front house and for the back house. So in theory, I'm going to build 5 more units on this one house. So I'm going to go from 1 rent to 6 rents because the lot's big enough and everything makes sense. So I'm not going to sell it, but I am going to build on it. And the cash flow and the income on that deal is going to be just ridiculous. So going back to your question, Christian, now I could go up like those little apartment buildings that I'm getting. Those are like little hotels, right? So now building 5 units on that one property on house number 2 that I don't want to sell, that's going to be a little hotel. So now I'm going to start to just turn these into little hotels, just like Monopoly, right? And that's the goal, every several years, make moves. You want to look at your Monopoly board, what you got, all your moves every month. Okay, what moves do I have? What moves do I have? What moves do I have? And then make those moves, right? You can't be afraid to make those moves. I waited too long on some of these to make moves, me personally. Because I was like my plumber friend. My plumber friend, man, I got a good thing going here. I don't want to mess with it, right? But shoot, that's the whole point, right? When you play Monopoly, who's usually the dude that wins in Monopoly games? It's the dude that buys everything they land on. The people who lose at Monopoly, think about it. Next time you're playing with your friends, is the person that doesn't buy anything. They're like, oh no, I'm gonna wait for another one. I don't like that one. That's the person that usually loses at Monopoly. What questions, comments? We're at the hour. Thank you for staying with me for an hour. I know it's late. Samantha says that's why I was always the bank. Yeah, sneaking in those dollars, huh? Shortchanging people. Yeah, you always gotta look out for the banker. No, but I think, man, this is just, again, imagine, Christian, since you asked me that question, imagine if at the same time I was playing the primary residence game over the last 19 years. And let's just say that over 19 years, I made a move every 4 years. That's 4 more homes. right? So I would have, 4 plus, 24 right now, I would have 28 instead of 24. And let's say that the average, and I'll go low, the average equity in each one was $200,000 of those 4 homes I could have had. That's another extra $800,000 that I would probably have in my pocket, but I don't. I wasn't smart enough to play both games at the same time. Now I am. So, 20 years from now, I'll have an extra 4 properties for sure. Cool. Any questions, comments, anything before we wrap it up?
Thank you for dropping the knowledge. Appreciate it.
Of course. My pleasure. You're welcome. Kim. I see you there. It's my pleasure. And again, the reason why I shared this is because no one shared this with me. And I think if somebody would share this with me when I first started real estate 19 years ago, it'd be different right now. We wouldn't be talking about 24 units. We'd be talking about I have 150 units. But my mentors back then weren't doing this. My mentors were flipping homes, paying taxes, cashing out on that stuff. So that's my goal, is just to, teach everyone, use your favorite Lepe Tendwell real estate agent to help you, guide you through these moves. And hopefully you guys could make money in your sleep, not have to worry about it, because I'm telling you right now, it's the best feeling in the world, waking up not worrying about money. It's the best feeling, not worrying about, I haven't had any stresses about bills, about anything in years. The only thing I think of really when I wake up is like what am I going to eat? Because I'm into eating, like which coffee shop am I going to hit? And then also, now I'm looking at this more closely. I'm looking at my equity, like, okay, like how much equity do I have in these properties? How's my stock portfolio doing? What type of investment should I invest in next? So it's I think it once your mind clears from all the day-to-day grinding, from all the day-to-day bills, now you could, really live a better life, because now you're just working on yourself. Oh, which book do I want to read? What do I want to learn today? Right? Because you don't have, the basic needs. Your basic needs are covered, so you don't have to worry about that. So anyhow, that's my time. I hope you guys, take advantage at least of the primary residence come up first. And by the way, if some of you guys are 1099, some of you guys are independent contractors and you run your own business, pay your taxes, make money, pay your taxes, that you could qualify for these loan programs. Because if you're not paying your taxes, if you're not claiming, if you're not making enough money, the primary resident route is kind of out. And so is the BRRRR method, because this whole time, by the way, I was borrowing money for cheap, meaning I was getting 20% down, 4% interest rate, 4.5% interest rate, 3.5% interest rate loans, because I was paying my taxes, and I was taking care of my FICO score. So you guys, that's the basics. So you guys make sure you do that. Okay. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see each other later. Peace out.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, bye. Later.